Hey Wookiees, Rebels, and more, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to dive into Ahsoka and show you a really quick edit I've been working on. This edit is a little bit all over the place, so we're going to have to start with Ahsoka Part 4. In Part 4 we get to see some of the coolest duels, and the Eye of Sion jumps into hyperspace entering the new galaxy. Hera, going rogue, is leading a squadron to try and take down the Eye of Sion and back up Ahsoka against the New Republic's orders. The senators and what we've seen is they have given Hera strict orders not to investigate Thrawn or take leads on anything that the Eye of Sion is pursuing, even though there's like clear evidence that something's happening. We just have senators who are in such denial that another war could break out. Like, they're so feverishly holding on to what they have, or they're secretly working for the First Order. But because she decides to disobey her orders, she goes rogue and sends a squadron of 5 X-Wings and the Ghost to attack the Eye of Sion, backing up Ahsoka and Sabine. But as Hera and squadron arrive, they immediately get blown out of the water by the Eye of Sion launching into hyperspace. This sequence was so cool. I mean, that's probably the coolest hyperspace jump we've ever seen in Star Wars. Regardless, Ahsoka gets 3 of her pilots either injured, killed. The show doesn't tell us. They straight up ignore these pilots. Does no one care? Like, this poor Rodian probably has like a family or just graduated and is like, oh man, I can't wait to be a part of the squadron with Hera. I'm disobeying rules just like my parents would in the rebellion, and immediately dead. And then we get a scene later where Hera is like being chastised and is being punished for disobeying orders, but it doesn't come up once that she got people actually hurt. Like, her going rogue sent 3 people either dead or in the hospital. We don't know. Star Wars is definitely a world where, yes, you have background characters, and yes, not all the time the background characters matter. That's not what I'm saying here. I think it's weird that this happened though, and no one acknowledges these pilots. Like, if we look at A New Hope, even though we just met these new pilots, we're following them and we see that they die at the Death Star. So we have an impact of how many people are dying. Like, think about Rogue One and how many nameless, faceless people actually get acknowledged deaths on screen. I mean, the best example is in Andor, where 2 nameless security guys that just drunkenly pick a fight with Andor, they end up kicking off the entire show. 2 nameless people end up dying, and that's what sends Andor on this big wide journey. But in Ahsoka, 3 pilots dying, we can forget about it. It doesn't matter. And that just doesn't sit right with me. I want to acknowledge these pilots, and because we're re-editing this scene, we're going to show that they actually survived. There is a beautiful animation created by E.C. Henry and team. I'll throw his name. I don't remember who he credited for making the animation. They made this beautiful animation where they talked about what would an ejection look like from an X-Wing. And I was able to grab that shot, and I kind of just trimmed it up so that even though it's very fast, even though things are exploding and spiraling everywhere, we show that the X-Wings do have ejection in this moment to show that they could possibly survive, that all the pilots could possibly survive. In the continuity of this edit, all these pilots will survive, but will sustain injury and will be acknowledged. They're not just forgotten about. In order to address these pilots, I think we need to go all the way to part 7, when Hera is in her, hey chat, what's it called when you're like being disciplined by the military?
The meeting where military discipline is addressed is commonly known as a disciplinary hearing or a military tribunal.
So the best place to acknowledge these X-Wing pilots is during Hera's disciplinary hearing, where we see Mon Mothma, 3 senators, and Admiral Ackbar. I don't know if anyone else has really noticed this, but Disney doesn't really acknowledge Admiral Ackbar. He pops up in the background. He's definitely a meme in the Lego game and the Lego shows, but in episode 8, dies off screen. And Ahsoka, there he is, but he doesn't talk. They have such a weird relationship where it's we'll keep bringing Admiral Ackbar back, but he'll never do anything meaningful ever again. It's wild that in this meeting with Admiral Ackbar, with these other senators, only Xiono and Mon Mothma really speak, right? They're the only ones who talk to Hera. Everyone should be chipping in. So in this new version, what's gonna happen is we're gonna have a quick edit where maybe in this disciplinary hearing, we're coming into the middle of this scene, right? Just like in the original piece, where in the original we were going into the middle of the scene. We're doing that again. We're gonna open it up with Admiral Ackbar speaking. I reached out to Brandon Kennedy. He is a voice actor. You can see his stuff here on YouTube. I'll put the link in the description below. And he does amazing voice acting for Admiral Ackbar. In fact, he was the same actor that did Ivan Ortega's Last Jedi. So it was a no-brainer to try and bring him in to say these lines that we can impose to acknowledge our 3 fallen pilots. So I sent him a very short script. It read something along the lines of, Hera, our partnership is at risk. 3 pilots are injured under your command. You have to explain to me what happened. I want to acknowledge that Brandon saw these lines and he did them, but then he also went the extra mile, and because he's played Ackbar before, he understood maybe Ackbar would say it a little differently, so he actually revised my script and came up with this new line, and it came out perfectly. So then what I had to do is I had to figure out how to rearrange this scene, and it was actually quite easy. We could hear Ackbar speak before we get into the scene. This is a classic J cut, and we're starting it while we still see the New Republic military building. Then we have the wide shot where Ackbar finishes, and then I went ahead and put his dialogue to where I went frame by frame and animated Ackbar's lips so that it looks like he finishes the sentence. And I just cut out Xiono's first couple of lines. They don't really add anything new. Honestly, they're just more filler of Hera, you disobey the New Republic orders, which he's about to say again. And the second time he says it is better. So we're going to have Ackbar speak, and Ackbar's going to show that Hera has a good standing in the New Republic, right? The way he says, I need to understand what happened here, meaning I'm not chastising you because I don't like you, but because I expect better. I know you're better than this. And even better, because he's an admiral, because Admiral Ackbar cares about his people, he acknowledges that Hera had 3 injured pilots under her commands. Even though it's episodes later, we do get acknowledgement that all 3 pilots did survive, and that no one died on Hera's rogue mission to help and find Ezra. Alright, so now that everything is kind of put in its place, I'm going to leave you just with Brandon's new lines and the new dialogue we put in the new kind of reordered sequence of Hera's disciplinary hearing. And yeah, I really appreciate everyone who stayed and made it this far in the video. I have a lot of things coming up that I'm really excited to show you guys, so please stick around. So I'm going to leave you with the clip, and then I'll see you guys in the next one.
Teros and Yula, our partnership we built is at risk after 3 pilots were injured following your orders. I can't do anything until you tell me what happened.
This is a government, and it has rules and laws which General Syndulla seems to have no problem bending to fit her personal agenda.
My job is to protect the people of this republic. And that is exactly what I was doing.